help us think what we know about that woman from the passage. Anybody have anything new that you heard in that? New to you? Still thinking about it, still digesting. That's what it looks like. We know she was a Samaritan, and the Samaritans had split from Judaism in disagreement over where to worship God after the northern kingdom fell. And the woman knew the history of her people. She knew that was the well of Jacob, where her ancestor Jacob, ancestor of both Jews and Samaritans, had watered their livestock on a long journey. She needed water for some reason, for just herself perhaps, or maybe for a whole household of people. And then she came to want the kind of water only Jesus could provide. Apparently she'd had 5 husbands, but we can't tell from the scripture passage whether that was due to promiscuity or levirate marriage, which meant if you married one man and he died, you had to marry his brother, and if he died, the next brother, etc., etc. So we don't really know her history. It's not clear in the scripture passage. But she was waiting for the Messiah. And within this passage, she realizes that's Jesus who told her everything. She realizes he's the Messiah. And then she testifies about her conversation with Jesus enough that the people of her village listen and are converted. They come to believe in him too. After they invite Jesus to talk more with them, they invite him into their lives. She is one of the most early effective evangelists. And within the conversation with this woman, we have a lesson from Jesus on letting go of our judgments of people and giving people we meet a fresh start in our relationships with them. Telling us we need to pause in our assumptions because we know what happens with assume when we make assumptions. When we meet someone new, we can ask questions, but the true indication of who anyone is comes in their actions and how they treat other people. So that's what we see in this conversation between Jesus and this woman of Samaria. This encounter has a whole bunch of surprises in it. Both surprises from Jesus and surprises from the woman and the grace they extend to each other, because first she's surprised he talked to her, a Samaritan and a woman. Men didn't talk to women outside of their families. Jews didn't talk to Samaritans. Those two groups defined themselves by ethnic differences and Old Testament conflicts between them. Jewish people were the chosen people. Samaritan people were the rejected people in the Old Testament. But Jesus would treat all human beings as worthy of grace. And that is the phrase that pays for anyone who's looking for that. Jesus would treat all human beings as worthy of grace, because he had no fear of sharing his gifts with any person ready to receive them. He thought all people were worthy of grace. He wasn't worried about being contaminated by differences. In this whole story, Jesus never judges the woman as a sinner, but treats her as somebody worthy of grace. And she accepted that and responded with the grace he had given her as well, giving it back to him. She's surprised by everything about him, and then she realizes he's the Messiah. Even though descendants of Jacob had been waiting for generations for the Messiah, it's a Samaritan woman who recognizes him first when he knew her whole life and her soul and accepted her as somebody worthy of grace. This passage is a call to the church to stop shaping ministry around our society's definitions of who is acceptable and who is not. It calls us to cross boundaries like Jesus did. And it calls us to stop drawing more lines in the sand to make divisions between us. It calls us instead to look for what we thirst for together and what our souls need to sustain them, no matter who we are. Jesus offers us the sustenance of grace. And grace is something we're all going to need, each one of us, sometime in our lives. This story of Jesus and the Samaritan woman also shows us that the best evangelism tool of all is simply offering grace to one another. Grace being God's love and forgiveness. We need that, all of us, even if we haven't realized what's looming over our heads about to break open wide. We need grace. The Samaritan woman became an evangelist, spreading the word about Jesus' teachings and how she experienced grace with him. That converted her village when they realized that meant God's grace was for them too, that they were worthy of God's love and forgiveness. So Jesus shared the good news beyond Judaism for the first time to this Samaritan woman. Jesus' ministry was about sharing good news with anybody and everybody who would listen. And looking back, we can see that set off a chain reaction of people converted that included all Israelite people that Jesus naturally came in touch with, but it also meant he shared the message with Gentiles, like this woman, and then the centurion's servant, and then the man with demons, and the Canaanite woman's daughter. He kept it going to anybody that would listen. So that's the way that God's love, shared through Jesus, spread as contagiously as the pandemic we've all had some experience with. God's love and the message of grace is contagious, more contagious, when we realize it's as simple sometimes as giving each other the benefit of the doubt. And then the whole action of grace becomes a movement when people realize that means we're still loved even when our faults and mistakes are known. That kind of radical acceptance can be a shared experience that changes lives. That's what the Samaritan woman experienced through Jesus. And that kind of radical acceptance is something we can still offer each other today, because these days, having our mistakes and foibles and ways we've gone wrong known, and then being still loved and accepted rather than shunned, is a gift beyond any we can measure. An example that comes to my mind is from not all that long ago, when you couldn't be a pastor in the United Methodist Church or in most churches if you were divorced. That was the human judgment on people through the institution of the church. And by that standard, I wouldn't be here today. I'm divorced. But that mindset of human judgment overlooked the power of God's love and forgiveness and acceptance and then transformation. And we as the church came to realize that none of us as human beings are without mistakes. And we need each other to live past the moments of brokenness that we all have in our lives by offering grace and going on together to wholeness on the other side. Most of us are profoundly affected by the judgment of others and our own judgment. Sometimes we're hardest on ourselves. This week I heard a program on helping people suffering from depression, which is often diagnosed by identifying that somebody has low self-esteem and negative views on the world and how you see yourself. Now, those have been thought of as symptoms of depression. But the greater and broader understanding is that viewing yourself negatively is a cause of depression, especially for young people. If others around them are pointing out that they're wrong in any way and that they're just not right as they are, they're not accepted just the way they are, that can make a profound difference in the lives of people of any age. And whether or not we're able to offer ourselves and others grace makes a difference in who we will be in the world and how we will move forward or not. Offering each other grace, love, and forgiveness can be healing. For each person healed, that makes a difference in not only their lives, but in the lives of their family and their friends and everybody they'll come in contact with throughout their lives. It's a chain reaction once grace is offered and we move back towards wholeness as God wants us to and invites us to. Our faith and our church can be an instrument of healing. When Jesus met that woman at the well, he could have just asked her for water and then passed judgment on her life. Instead, he let her know that he knew her pain and he knew her strength and loved her just as she was. That's what it takes to set off the chain reaction of grace that we need in the world today. So let's look around us. Let's look around us and see who we know who's been hurt and rejected over what's happened in their lives, the decisions they've made. Who do we know who's in pain in their lives? Who could be healed by love and acceptance if they can find it somewhere? That's who we need to be ready to welcome here in this church. Ready to welcome people without judgment and to offer the healing power of God's love. It's time to consider how we let people know our welcome will be without judgment. And let's find our way to name that and act on it in our ministry. God's welcome and grace are here because all people are worthy of grace. Jesus gives us that example and goes before us to show us the way to offer grace between us and all around us every chance we get. Amen.